welcome to Trinity Update. I'm Suzanne Dowdy. Well, today on this program we want to celebrate the gift of music, which is a celebration of life itself. And what better way to do it than with the lady herself, Mrs. Gretta Taylor and Joanne Mendes from the Marionettes Chorale. Now, many of our viewers out there see the Marionettes Chorale from time to time because we film their productions and you see it on Channel 10 so often. But it's not very often that we've had, Joanne, you've been here before?
Never.
So, okay, we have the two big pappies here today. Usually we have representatives of the Marionettes Chorale. Well, we really want to welcome both of them here today.
Our pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Gretta, of course, is the musical director, and any other names that go with
artistic,
that? Artistic
musical
director.
and artistic director.
And Joanne,
Secretary,
and I think something else.
Well, everything
Just
else.
Everything else.
Secretary will cover the multitude.
All right, because you've been there for a long...
50 years.
For the full 50 years. Wow.
I've been there the full
That's
stay.
fantastic. So that's what we are celebrating today, 50 years of the gift of music and the Marionettes Chorale. So who should we start with?
Well, I think you should start with Jo because she's
been there full time?
Yes.
All right. Maybe you could give us a little history of how it all started.
How did it start? One day in the Talk of Trinidad, in the Guardian newspaper, there was a little announcement to say that Jocelyn Pear and June Williams Thorne were coming together to form a choir for the music festival of 1964. This was sometime in July of 1963. Okay. So we're just about at the time of that. And we were invited as many past pupils of St. Joseph's Convent. It was then only to be a ladies' choir because they had both taught at St. Joseph's Convent. And we were all invited, whoever was interested, to come and audition at Jocelyn's home on Warner Street. Well, Jocelyn had at the time a 9-foot grand piano in a small living room, so not many of us fitted in the living room. So those of us like myself who skated in at the appointed time stood on the pavement and limed.
And in those days, houses were not the big mansions
No, nothing of this sort, but lovely warmth and atmosphere and a lot of music. So we stood on the pavement and we chatted. And when it was your turn to audition, you put your head through the window and the piano played inside and you sang from the pavement.
Literally?
Literally.
Oh my God.
And it was an audition, it's an audition just like we have these days. We need to hear.
Just to know if you can really sing or not.
We don't think you're going to present yourself if you really can't sing at all. But though that has happened, but we need to know where your voice lies and whether you can sing back 5 notes accurately or what your musical memory is likely to be. And then Bob's your uncle, you're in.
Okay.
So from there, all of us were in because we were all past members of St. Joseph's Convent Choir.
Oh, okay.
And then as we began, they had the idea that they would, I think maybe it was Father Corcoran who contacted Jocelyn and said, why didn't they make it a mixed choir? And he could provide the tenors and basses. So all past members of the Dominic Savio Choir came, and
including people like ex-Mayor Port of Spain, Murchison Brown.
Okay,
yes.
Who still
sings.
Yes.
I mean, he had a break in service because he was the longest serving mayor ever in the city of Port of Spain. Okay. And so, it was hard to do the two well. And so he had a break from us, but he's right back there now singing.
Now, the people came together, but what about the name? When did the name evolve?
Well, if I tell you I can remember that, I'm not quite sure.
Okay.
Because, I certainly had no part in that naming. Personally, I mean, we were all in the room, like all young women. We were all speaking at the same time. I can't tell you exactly who said the word, the Marionettes Chorale. I want to believe that it was Helen Board. But
you can't remember.
It may have been just a whole set of suggestions, and out of that popped up something. At that stage, though, I would imagine that few of us knew that a marionette was a puppet.
Well, I don't think that it had anything to do with puppets. I think from what I've heard, it had to do with Marian and Mary.
Okay.
And at one stage, they wanted to spell the name Marian, and it just looked wrong.
Okay.
So this is what I understand. I was not there. I was away when the choir was formed.
But from the very beginning, it was called the Marionettes Chorale. From the
That's
first.
right. That's the only name it's
Okay.
ever had.
All right. I thought perhaps it was something that evolved as the choir grew and that kind
No,
of
and
thing.
I think really it was when we were coming down to the wire and having to put in the application to the music festival or put in the entry form
Right.
that you had to find a name. So
And so, Greta, when did you make your entry into the Marionettes
Well,
Chorale?
all I can say very honestly is that if I were not away at the time studying, I would not be a member of the Marionettes today because, as Joanne said, the people who came in their numbers were past members of the St. Joseph's Convent Choir. I never sang in that choir. I was quite a reject.
Really?
But when I went to Canada, I auditioned and I was accepted not only in the University of Toronto Choir, but in the Festival 40, which I had to audition for. And I suppose it was in God's plan that they accepted me. And I think Jocelyn and June were both my piano teachers at various stages when I was a student at St. Joseph's Convent. And we sort of kept in touch, and they realized that I was representing Canada at the first International University Choral Festival in Lincoln Center in New York. So they figured maybe I had a little singing talent. So it was when I came back that I was invited to join the Marionettes as a singing member, but that's the first time I ever sang with a choir publicly in Trinidad and Tobago.
What a
So-
thing. So that brings me to the question then, how did it feel moving from choir member to musical director and artistic director?
It was very uncomfortable because I was used to facing one way, which was the audience, and doing what I was told, and having to face the other way and look people in the eye and pull them up and correct them and whatever. I was afraid even to look at them in the eye. I mean, a lot of that has changed now.
Yes,
There's
yes.
a big contrast
She's
between
grown
how
into
it's-
the
Yes, yes.
Yeah, and over the years I did what I call OJT, which is on the job training, when I realized that I was not just there a kind of a stopgap position. I found the way to keep abreast of what choral singing was all about globally. And I joined the North American Choral Directors Association, which has its conventions every 2 years. And I've been a member of that for about, from about 91? So that would make it, how
Okay.
is my maths? How many years
So
is that?
you-
22 years.
Yes, which means that I've been to 11 conventions all
Okay.
over North America.
So that has helped,
Oh, yes.
yes, with the on-the-job
yes.
training, as you call it.
Specifically to do with choral training, choral repertoire. And they have clinics and whatever. So I have learned a lot.
Yes.
And with that, I gained confidence to do what I had to do.
Now, who was in that position before you took it up?
Jocelyn Pear and, well, it started off with Jocelyn Pear and June Thorne. After about 4 years, June Thorne, she was June Williams Thorne, I think she's now Roach. For personal reasons, she was no longer a member of the choir. And the big turning point was when Jocelyn Pear got sick, very seriously ill. The choir was then about how old? Was about 6 years old?
Yep.
Yeah. And I was still a singing member. And it was when she recovered, she continued the choir, but then she went on a government scholarship to Montreal, was
Yes.
it? To study music, to get a degree in music. And the choir got together and they wanted to continue because there were no plans in place to continue after she left. And because I had been doing well in music festival as a pianist with Susan David Stroke Dorr, they figured that the two of us were in the best position to continue. I wasn't a choral conductor, I was a pianist, so I had to, at least I started somewhere. I wasn't quite satisfied at all with my meager efforts, and I'm the type of person that if I feel that way, I either get out or I find a wherewithal to improve myself, which is what I did. But at the beginning, I was not at all satisfied with how I was, because I think I felt a kindred spirit with the singers and not, you know.
But obviously, you all saw something in who.
I don't know if they saw anything. I think it was a matter
Somehow
of
you evolved.
expediency,
Yes,
really.
yeah.
So-
Fantastic. Well, while we're talking about that, I know that we have one and maybe two clips of the Marionettes, and I think the first one is When You're Smiling.
Yes.
So I'm sure that most of you out there will have been to the Marionettes concerts, but maybe somebody hasn't, and this will be a real treat for you. So let's take a break. Sweet. So the Marionettes Chorale is no longer the over 40s and 50s.
Oh,
We
well,
have
it is, I don't know. No, we have, well, three choirs really. The adult choir, the youth chorale. Well, youth is considered anything under 26.
Okay.
So at first we had a youth chorale and the adult choir. And then when we did Carmen, we had to borrow, thank goodness, Bernadette Scott was kind enough to loan me some of her members because we needed a children's choir as part of the Carmen opera. And then, so it occurred to me, well, a lot of people had been suggesting it before. Why don't you have a children's choir? Because the youth chorale really comprised people sort of high school age and over.
Okay.
And a few parents wanted to send their children home much younger than that. So all things considered, we decided to just put out a little press release saying, you know, inviting, and we got over 50.
Wow,
And we
just from
still
that
have-
one
yeah.
press release.
Yes, not all of them could
Yeah,
sing for
yeah.
every concert, but we'll have at least 50 for this
That's
concert as well.
fantastic.
So that, what you just saw there
Yeah.
was the children's choir,
Yeah,
not the youth chorale.
not the youth.
Yeah.
Well, Joanne, as we said at the beginning, you've been there through the whole time. How have you seen the Marionettes evolve? How has it affected you, perhaps personally, to see how it's grown?
Well, I've been there, as I said, for 50 years. That's a long, long time. It has become, and it is a part of my life. It has been my main extracurricular activity. And I've felt very gratified to see how the organization has grown from strength to strength, how it has evolved from young women like we were when we joined,
Yeah.
and now we are older and making way for youth and children, which has to be the way to go. And at this stage, looking seriously to succession and putting all those plans in place and watching young people who came to us as singing members, most of them as young girls, 13, 14, 15, 12, 11, any such age, and they are now coming into positions where they're doing a lot of the work and great, great work.
Thank God for
I
that.
think in particular of people like Ariel Rosta, who will be our stage manager for this production, Carolyn Taylor, whose job is to keep us fresh in the public's eye. She does our Facebook, Twitter, website, whatever. She's constantly
keeping up with the new
she's
technology.
constantly at the job. She also is the assistant artistic director. We have Jacqueline Smith, who is the assistant production manager. And we have a lot of singers in the adult choir now who have moved up through the ranks from the youth chorale. So that was really an inspired decision of Gretta's to have a youth chorale and now a children's choir that will feed
As you
the
see,
Marionettes
succession,
chorale
yeah.
as the
in the future.
that organization, and things look really bright for the future.
And I think too, that just your presence there as somebody who's been there for 50 years, whether you realize it or not, must do something for the whole choir.
Yeah, for stability.
Because people don't, there's no longer that stability. People don't remain committed to anything for that length of time anymore. So it must be a real witness, huh?
Yeah.
To have you there.
Well,
And we have been very blessed. I'm not saying that because I'm a living mortal right now.
Yeah.
But we've been very blessed in that. She mentioned Carolyn is my daughter, who she studied theater, as did Ariel. So there are people with degrees who are coming back to give back. We should mention perhaps the designer of the outfits.
yes,
Was
I was going to come to that.
the Norman twins, who bring out a carnival band, medium size, K2K. They designed the ladies' gowns for
Yeah.
this,
For the first half.
for the first
Yes.
half. Yes, so we have people who are so loyal to us, who are doing very well, studying music away. We've had people like, who's singing in this concert is Ferial Kadura. She just graduated. Her younger sister Samira, who started off with us, she was one of the youngest one in the youth chorale, 8 years old. But we also have Tahira Osborne, who won
yes,
the
you know
Kathleen
that.
Ferrier Award, and she just graduated with first class honors. She can't be home for the event because I think she has commitments still.
Abroad.
Yes. So we're very proud of.
As you should be.
Yeah. So we've been
Actually, I
very
wrote
blessed.
down a little quote here. I saw a clip of you at 1994 at another celebration. Don't ask me where, but where you said that the Marionettes was made up of people who devote their passion, their skills, their time, and their energy to make good music happen.
Yes.
And I think that is so true. You can see it, as someone in the audience looking on at the quality of work that you
Well, we
offer us.
try. It's not all that easy, but to maintain standards,
Yeah.
especially with what's happening globally, and sometimes any old thing would do.
Yes.
And again, we've been lucky that people are still wanting to be part of music and choral singing and classical choral singing. I was going through my past emails, and what we have to be pleased about is the effect that music has on people. An email sent me by my husband where we are doing a concert at St. Mary's College. The Queen's Hall is probably being refurbished and whatever. And at intermission time, he went out to check that his car was not blocking anybody who was near the entrance. And he came across a young man who was HIV positive and had, it was very difficult for him to accept. And he went on drugs and whatever. He was passing and he heard the music inside, so he just came by the gate, and he was telling my husband the peace that was experiencing as a result
beautiful?
of that.
Yeah.
So, he tried to get him to come. He said, no, they're not interested in people like me. And my husband had to point out, he said, no, those are kind of, people of a certain class. He said, no, but there are people from all over Trinidad. He said, I'm from Lavelle. He said, there are people from Lavelle there.
Yeah.
So he was that's the effect of music, and this is what we hope that we do with music.
While enjoying what you do at the same time.
Oh, yes.
So tell us now about the 50th anniversary concert.
Well,
What
I think
should we expect?
That's really Gretta's purview with the music and so on. So
I mean, we don't want to let out any secrets too soon, but
invite any guests and all.
Yes.
Well, in terms of the program, what we have selected are pieces that were symbolic or significant in the past. Either pieces we won competitions here or abroad. We have won international competitions. We have pieces by the Children's Choir, which is again another landmark when we formed that choir. We have excerpts from Broadway, because we went into Broadway about in the middle of the 90s. The first Broadway show we just did it for something different to do. We were going 3 nights, and it turned out we had to do 6.
Wow.
Right? We did 3 nights, and San Fernando wanted us to come. We were going to do 1. It sold out very quickly, so we had to do 2 in one day in South. And then we did another one back and forth.
So you knew that was the way to go.
Yeah, well, you kind of trailblazed there, because now everybody is doing Broadway, and why not? Because it's a very popular genre. And so there's that. Then, of course, you have all our local music. Some of the pieces are samples of complete works we've done.
Okay.
Right? And this being our 50th anniversary, we put out a call for as many past members as would like to join us for 2 numbers.
Great. So we look
So
forward
that's
to that.
that's something to look forward to. We'd done a similar thing when we were 25 years old.
All right. So we do that again this time.
Oh yes, and I think it's going to be a tremendous amount of fun. They're meeting, they're coming together with us for the first time on Thursday, which is tomorrow.
All right. Well, we look forward to that.
It's going to be
So
lovely.
we have another clip here that we want to get in before the show is over. So when we come back, we'll give people dates and times, etc. So let's take a look at this one. that, you're going to have to go to the Marionettes 50th anniversary shows coming up. And in just about 30 seconds, we have to hear when those shows are.
Yes, they're Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Friday 12th, Saturday 13th, Sunday 14th at Queen's Hall. Friday and Saturday begin at 7:30.
This is July, right?
July.
Let's
Next
make
week?
sure, yes, next
Sunday,
week.
5 o'clock. So we invite
about
you
the CDs
all
and
to come and celebrate with us. And we have a companion double CD that we've produced to mark the event. So it will be on sale there for $150. Please
that's a good
support us.
price.
That's how we'll get our home, the Marionettes property.
Great, thank you. Thank you, Greta. Thank you, Joanne. And
Very
thank you for
welcome.
joining us here on this program. God bless you all.